Welcome back to another 2 in a day. 2 straight facts. I'm joined by Jessica Black. How are you, young lady?
I'm good. I cannot complain. I have nice weather here in California while you guys are suffering with your summer weather in England.
It's all right. It's nice here. It's shorts and t-shirt weather. It's a nice 24 degrees where I am. I cannot. That's Celsius, not Fahrenheit. I cannot complain. But viewers, let us know where you're watching from on this Friday evening. I very rarely go live this late on a Friday evening. So where you're all watching from around the world, let us know in the comment sections now. Loads to talk about today. We're talking Mohamed Kudus. We're talking a big update on the Hojlund situation with PSG getting involved. Barella to Man City is on if Silva leaves the football club. We're going to be delving into that. We're going to have a little bit of a preview of the Man United-Arsenal game tomorrow because as we all know, it's never a friendly. It's never just it's just pre-season. Well, it's just pre-season if you lose, and it's hella important if you win.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna be delving into that on this evening's show. Please make sure like buttons are hit. Please make sure you are subscribing to the channel as well. All very, very important that you go out there and do that. But the first thing I wanted to bring up was Barella to Man City. If Silva leaves, talk to me.
I mean, he's not a player that I'm about to sit here and act like I watch him every week. So I'm not going to be telling you all the tactical stats and all that kind of stuff about what a great player he is. But other people always talk about how great he is. And if ever I am watching Inter play, he does seem to stand out. So, when it looked like Newcastle could potentially get Barella, everybody was freaking out about that. So he seems to be a quality player, midfielder. And we know if Bernardo Silva leaves, then they're going to need to replace that player. It's interesting because so that could actually be like an interesting wrinkle in their transfer window because Barella doesn't naturally replace either one of Gundogan or Bernardo Silva. So potentially, they could bring in like a true winger or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they replace those players. But I would be I think a lot of people were, I don't want to go too far into this. Manchester City are going to have this rebuild and potentially they'll fall away or, have a difficult season or something like that, because we know that they'll recruit quality players when those better players leave. And they have pretty much the pick of the litter. Like if anybody gets a call from Manchester City, unless it's Declan Rice, they're going to go there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think they are going to bring in quality players. It'll be later in the window, but I still expect them to be quite strong. And Barella's a quality player. So yeah. I mean, what do you think about it? Since
Look,
you're like an Inter, aficionado, seeing as you've been watching a lot of
what I've seen of Barella, he looks very good. And I agree with Leah. He isn't the same as Bernardo Silva or Mahrez. And when I think of Bernardo Silva and Mahrez, I think right-hand side of that Man City midfield, whether it's as a winger, whether it's as a right-sided midfielder, or that kind of fullbacky type role that Silva did at times. That's not Barella. So there has to be a plan if he's the replacement. But it's a little bit like Kovacic coming in with the Gundogan situation. They are completely different footballers. Gundogan's clutch. Kovacic don't score goals, really. He's not that guy. So obviously there's a way of rethinking. Man United did this. We tried twice to replace Roy Keane with people that had a similar profile. We tried it first with, he's passed away now, God rest his soul, Liam Miller, another Irishman of a similar set. It wasn't working for us. And then we went for Michael Carrick, who was a completely different type of holding midfield player, and it worked. So I actually like the idea of, from a football standpoint, of going, right, we're going to lose Silva. Let's not buy, and this is what I spoke about this about 4 hours ago. Who is attainable for City on that right-hand side of midfield and the attack who are as good as Riyad Mahrez and Bernardo Silva, who they could actually sign? I top of my head, I can't think of those people that are really attainable. Mm-hmm. So the best thing you can do is go, right, well, let's have another plan. We're going to buy a star player. Barella is that profile, but we're going to operate differently. And that's great management. And I'm still intrigued to see what else City do if with Gundogan leaving, so if Silva goes, Mahrez gone, if Walker leaves.
Mhm.
So these are some of the greatest players in their club's history, and they have to replace them with top quality. That simply has to happen. But
Mhm.
Barella and Gvardiol, they fit the bill. They
Yeah.
absolutely fit the bill. But what's really interesting for me is if is there going to be somebody else other than Barella come in? And the reason I say that is because they tried to sign Declan Rice. So is Barella a Silva replacement, or is he the alternative to Declan Rice?
No,
And
I
we'll
think
know that.
oh,
Does
go
that
ahead.
make sense?
Yeah, no, because I was thinking that he's a midfield replacement. So they've essentially replaced their midfielders that would leave, albeit different profiles. But because Bernardo Silva plays in that right wing position, they'll go out there and find a winger, and that'll be the next player that comes in. I can't see them bringing in three midfielders like Barella, Kovacic, and somebody else, but like a winger, that could be something,
Yeah.
that they look at. But the winger market is not great. I know some people will come out with some crazy names of guys that are in these. No, like in terms of top quality wingers that are like attainable, there's nobody really out there. Which is
Do you know? Do you know what they're probably
what?
gutted about? They're probably
What?
gutted about the fact that Arsenal were doing so well. Because
I was just about to say that.
if you guys had stayed sixth, seventh, eighth this last season and had a campaign like your previous few years, or if your owners hadn't upped their game and given Bukayo Saka this 300 grand a week,
They would have Saka.
Saka would be a Man City player this summer. Mahrez would go and he would come in, and that's why it's important to be well run. That's why it's important to keep progressing. That's why it's important to pay your players the going rate, because what you do is you shrink the market for rivals when they lose somebody. And well, I've had this conversation all week. People are angry that Rashi's going to earn 325 a week. I'm like, well, who can Man United sign in the world who plays on the left-hand side, who's as good, if not better than Rashford, and I'm talking ability and outputs together, that we could realistically sign?
Mm-hmm.
You could put Cavadona's name out there, but he might cost you 120 million. That's not affordable for us. You may say Rafael Leao. I don't think he's at Rashford's level yet. Plus, over 100 million just signed a new deal. There's no one else in the world. Literally, there's nobody else in the world on the left. Doesn't mean there's no one better, but it's attainability. And, I think about Liverpool. Liverpool 10 years ago would have lost Mo Salah to Man City as an example. And yeah, look, that's why they've got to rethink this city. It's why they've got to be smart with their business. A few people saying Pavard will replace Walker. Yeah, I mean, that's a massive downgrade for me. I think Pavard is.
That's a really big.
I think Pavard's good, but the problem is Kyle Walker is their greatest ever right back. Many believe he's the greatest right back in Premier League history. You've got to be replacing him with somebody of a very high level, in my personal opinion. But we'll see what happens to that one. But yeah, Barella, that's a dangerous move. So I want to see where some people are watching from tonight. Here it's watching from the land down under. Welcome. Croydon boy living in Ontario. Whereabouts in Ontario, Darren? It'd be nice to know. Croydon's not far from where I live now, actually. Tommy here is in Chicago, or as my nan used to call it, Chicago. We've got Fan Zone watching in Nigeria. My Niger brother there. How you doing, bro? Hope you are good and well. But yeah, that's City. That's the. I also want to get your take. Just want to get your opinion on the Fabrizio leak and the Gvardiol move kind of being postponed or collapsing because Fabrizio tweeted about it. What's your view on all that?
It's like, I feel like it's such a balancing act for some of these guys, because it's like you have such big followings and everybody like hangs off of every word that you say, and you want to go early so that you can have the exclusive and be the guy that breaks the news. And then sometimes maybe you went a little bit too early. And yeah, like if RB Leipzig are not 100% happy with, Manchester City, having Fabrizio Romano come out and say, here we go with him in a Manchester City shirt is going to piss them off. And so things can go backwards from there. I'm sure it's just a couple of like little things. I'm pretty sure that it's close, but is it nice to see City like have to struggle a little bit and like deal with the media like BS and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of funny, but yeah, Fabrizio, he wants to go first. I think sometimes he goes a little bit early. I wonder if he's sweating it sometimes. I wonder if he's sitting there like, because it's like you went so big and here we go is supposed to mean like it's done. That's why I always
Well,
wait for the Orny.
I've been saying for years, Fab has got to add an extra layer. He's got to go from done deals are done deals are done deals. Deals complete or when they never get undone. So whenever I'm not a transfer expert, but deal
But I told you
complete.
Ornstein hasn't even tweeted about Gvardiol. I don't
Yeah,
think.
I mean, my general feeling with Ornstein in 2023 is even when if he just slightly mentions a transfer, I reckon it happens. He's got to that point now where he's got such credibility in the journalistic world, Ornstein, that he won't even, like, Fabrizio's great at what he does. I love what the guy does. There's no doubt about it. And I prefer Fabrizio. For me, Fabrizio is a journalist, but he's a content creator. And I enjoy listening to his content. I like how he talks. I like how he breaks things down. Ornstein's very different. Ornstein isn't a transfer expert, in my opinion. He's a football journalist, like through and through. But he now, like, he won't, like, Fabrizio will do things where he'll tweet out a comment from a manager. Ornstein don't do that. But if Ornstein does do it, that tells me that deal really can happen. Where with Fabrizio, he's still very good and very accurate and
but
amazing.
So
but yeah.
They're
It's very different, but that's what's nice about it, because it would be shit if they were both trying to beat each other. It's nice because they're very different. I also like Santi. Santi's very, very good as well. Really like him. Of course, I like Ben and I like Dean. There's no doubt. But outside of the guys that come on the terrace, like, I really like those two. There's a guy called Alfred as well. Who I like. There's a few I like. There's a few journalists I like. They're all a little different, and it's all good. Fab drags the news for ages. No, he doesn't drag the news for ages. What Fabrizio does, this guy must get. Listen, I've got 115,000 followers on Twitter. I am not a transfer expert and don't profess to be. I get about 30 DMs a day asking, update. I can't imagine how much somebody with 15 million followers, I can't imagine how many messages he must get per day and tweets per day. Update. And that's all he's doing, is responding to his followers are asking for those day by day, minute by minute updates. And for me, that's what you get with Fabrizio. If you follow Ornstein, you're getting 2 or 3 tweets a week. That's it. And that's the contrast between the two.
I loved when, like, Fabrizio literally had to tell Arsenal fans to calm down. He literally did like a whole like little section that was like, Arsenal fans relax, because obviously they were bombarding him with like, what's going on. And so, I don't think he necessarily drags it out, but like, it's in his best interest to be on your timeline as much as possible. Business wise, you have to see him all the time, hear him all the time. And that's how he becomes the guy. So of course he's going to give you almost like minute by minute. And it ruins things sometimes, because back in the day, you used to just kind of like maybe know you were interested in a player, and then the next thing you would hear is whether it happened or not. But now we got everything from like first contact to, meetings between, the intermediaries and stuff like that, then personal terms, you're getting everything, and that's what we basically asked
you know
for.
what I really love? What I really love about it is the no official bid yet, just inquiries and unofficial bids. And it's like, why I love Fabrizio is Fabrizio lays it on thick with the terms. Well, I'm like, in my mind, an official bid, an unofficial bid, a WhatsApp bid, an inquiry bid, an email bid, a typewrite, sending it by pigeon. They're all bids to me, and I don't differentiate. But football fans love Fabrizio because the way he breaks down transfers, where the club walked away, they never bid. They made the inquiry and got told no, but they never bid. Fans love it because it protects their football club. And he's very smart for whether he's fallen upon this by chance or whether he created it this way. He protects pretty much everybody's football club in every transfer.
Everybody thinks their club is Fabrizio's favorite, but the truth
is
we're all his favorite because we're making a hell of money.
No, people think Chelsea are paying him, and I'm like, listen, this guy talks nice about everybody's club. And for me, I love a bit, all the Liverpool journalists, whenever they put a story out, there's always a line somewhere in the article. Man United also inquired but got told no. They literally, it's almost like in their contract they've got to write it. Fabalicious don't do anything like that. This man's out here just being friends with everybody. This man really is. He loves a fence. This man sits on more fences than pigeons. He loves it. But it's, all good. I can't understand the guy. That's why I watch him. I love the way he says certain words as well, because I like the Italian accent. So when he said that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got sacketed, and he added like an extra ed. Maybe it's wrong to laugh at that. I don't know, but I find it funny, and I'm pretty sure if I tried to speak Italian, Italians would laugh at my Cockney accent trying to do it. So yeah,
my favorite part of the window was like hearing him go off on that one guy. What club was he from? Brentford or something like that? He was like that little like audio thing that had come out, and he was like, I was like, go ahead, Fab, go in there, let this guy know who he's messing with. I like that, because he's very professional, but I'm sure he gets a lot of BS too. So he has to like tell people like, look, you're dragging my name kind of thing. That was funny too.
Okay. No, absolutely. Viewers, keep hitting like buttons, keep subscribing. I want to talk to you a little bit. I want to speak to the viewers as well about the situation with Hojlund to Man United. Reportedly, a bit of a blow tonight. As PSG are in talks. PSG reportedly willing to pay the same amount of money as Man United, and PSG and their media in France believe that this deal could be done and that they could hijack the deal for Rasmus Hojlund and they could take him away from us. That's gutting for me because my manager wants this guy. My manager rates this guy. That's a story that's currently circulating that PSG are ready to pay 60 million euros for Rasmus Hojlund. Luis Campos and Hojlund's agent have been discussing figures for several weeks, and a deal won't be hard to reach. That is according to French media outlets. What's your view on this potential blow for Man United? Do you think United will allow this to happen? They appear to be leading the race. It's the first time his name's been heavily linked for a while now to another club. What's your take on that?
I know your game. I know your game. I know you don't really believe that you're going to miss out on him. I know you don't. None of us really do. And the reason why you're going to play it up is so that you could say that he turned down PSG to go to Man United. I know your game. But what I like about this is that, like, obviously online, some United fans are panicking about it. So they get to feel what it feels like when another club with infinite resources comes in for a player that you're really interested in, and you get to panic for a week or so before you put in a big bid and close out the deal. But that's all it seems like to me, leaking this information to the French media, and making it seem as though it could get done quick to hurry Man United up so that they pay a little bit more and go a little bit quicker so that they can get their business done. But I would just imagine with all the work that's been done so far, and Hojlund being a Man United fan and probably favoring a move to Man United, that will end up being important in all of this. And I would imagine Man United are prepared to do what's necessary to get it done. But I will enjoy like the next couple of days when Man United fans actually don't think it's going to get done and they panic a little bit about it. It's not.
Look, I understand that. Like for me, up until this story, someone in the comments is trying to call me out this. And yesterday, Terry told the world the boy had chosen United and only wanted United. Well, that is what the media outlets said. But remember, if Man United don't get a deal done with Atalanta, the players' wants are very different. So you look at the situation. I always believe that Declan Rice wanted Arsenal over City. But if Arsenal couldn't get a deal agreed and City could, he was open to going somewhere else. So I think these links are true. But I as of right now, there's nothing to panic about. I think Man United are leading this race. I think he wants to come to us. I think he probably looks at PSG and says, look, I don't mind you chatting to them, but if Man United are in for me, that is all I want. I think PSG also know that as well. The interesting thing is that Vlahovic was linked to PSG. That seemingly looks off now, and I've been reading that he could be on his way. The press that have put this story out, and this is really intriguing for Spurs. So the media that have put the story out that Hojlund could be on his way to PSG are the same media they've also said, I want to make sure I want to quote them correctly here. They have also turned around and said that Vlahovic could be on his way to, and I need to go and check now because I want to get this up in front of me. So otherwise I could end up getting this wrong. Where's the full length piece here? My apologies, viewers. There we go. And in the same article, because Vlahovic was linked to PSG, Vlahovic is heading to Bayern Munich. And if this story is true that PSG are coming in for Rasmus Hojlund and Vlahovic is going to Bayern Munich, doesn't mean Hojlund goes to PSG, but it means Harry Kane isn't going to Bayern Munich. There's no way they're buying.
What does that mean? Where is he going then, Terry?
Well, but you know my belief. We've obviously had this conversation off camera many times. I still think Man United are going to try and sign Harry Kane later in this window. I totally believe that is what we're going to. And it's fan theory, but we've raised £27 million in sales so far. We've not sold any big assets yet. You've still probably got Maguire, McTominay, Fred. Those three alone and Henderson. That's 80, 90 million. We can raise. So we're able to buy the 4 players we're linked to without selling anybody. We already know this. Wages have got to go, but we don't need to raise money for the other players. We know this already. If we can raise 100 odd million in sales, 27 million has already been raised. I believe we go for Kane. So look, I hope that they don't come in and take Rasmus Hojlund away. But I do hope part of this article is true. I hope that Vlahovic is going to Bayern Munich, because then that just means there's one place left. There's actually only one place left in the world that Spurs can allow Harry Kane to go. They'd prefer Bayern Munich out the league. They have to send him to Man United. Otherwise, there's a big
possibility. You don't have to sell to Man United.
No, they do. I'll tell you as to why. No, Jay, on a level. I'll tell you why they do.
No, I'll let you go and then let me go.
I guarantee if you can't debunk what I say, we'll have a little bet.
The way you're doing this, okay.
No, they have to. Because if you leave, I'll tell you why. Because he could end up at Chelsea or Arsenal next summer for free. And that will hurt Tottenham and will damage relationships between the fans and Levy, the fans and ENIC, far more than selling him to Man United, far more than letting him go to Bayern Munich, because Spurs fans despise both of those football clubs. And remember, it's not likely to be Arsenal. It's more United will still have a big chance next summer. Chelsea will come in hard. Poch is there. But remember, he grew up an Arsenal fan. I think people forget that Harry Kane grew up an Arsenal fan. So for me, if this story is true and Vlahovic is going to Bayern Munich, Daniel Levy's got to use his nuts. He's got to use his brain and go, right, he's got to think he's playing drafts right now.
Do?
No. I'm being serious. He has to think strategically. What's the best for Tottenham now financially? Best for Kane, our greatest ever player, and what's best for relationships with the fans? And the best of a bad situation is let Man United have him, get a good price, but let Man United have him. That stops him ever walking through the doors at Chelsea or Arsenal, because by next summer, especially your club, people think I'm mad to say Arsenal. I'm not. People think there's loyalty in the game. There ain't no loyalty out there. There's no loyalty out there. These players are
that's loyal. It's Harry Kane.
No,
that is a loyal guy.
No, he's not, Jay. No, I'm telling you, Harry Kane has got how do I say this in the right way? Harry Kane has got one of the best PR teams in the world. Okay, he's clean cut, no tattoos, blonde hair, blue eyes, England's sweetheart. This man is as ruthless as the players that we sort of predict. Not predict, what's the word? Depict to be ruthless and not loyal. This man, and Man United had a situation like this. Wayne Rooney was abused by our fans for wanting to leave. But yet Anthony Martial and David De Gea both tried to leave on numerous occasions and are adored. And they never get the same level of stick. Harry Kane, the way he tried to get out of Tottenham, he ain't loyal. This man was doing TV shows with Gary Neville to get out of the club. So at the end of the day,
gentleman's agreement.
Nah, he ain't. Listen, he's a top professional. There's no doubt about that, Kane. But none of these people are loyal. They will go to the best club for their career. And listen, Harry Kane joining Arsenal would ruin his Tottenham legacy. If he comes to Arsenal and wins you a Premier League, he becomes a bigger legend in football and a bigger legend in North London than he could ever be at Tottenham. Because you guys, we're all the same. Fans aren't loyal either. Because you hate Harry Kane right now. But if he become one of your players, you would fall head over heels in love with him within seconds.
Like that. Boom.
It's true. I'd like Steven Gerrard, but it turned out Fergie tried to sign him once. And if Gerrard had become a Man United player, I'd have fallen in love with. I've been on my guys here. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're all the same. But listen, Hojlund in at Man United, Kane in at Man United. If we get both of those players and Amrabat, we're challenging for that Prem. We could even win the Prem. We could even win the Prem with them players.
You're going to get one striker.
Again, if
we're going to get one striker.
Maybe, but that isn't what I said, is it? That's not what I said.
Yeah, you said Kane and Hojlund.
Yeah, if we get them, we'll challenge.
Okay. So my whole thing with this is I think Levy would rather keep Kane against his will than sell to a Premier League team over his dead body. Like, I just don't think he wants to do it. I don't think it's even just about London teams. I think it's about in the league, period. And so I think they will eventually get to a point where he goes to Bayern. Like, I think a lot of this is just playing games, to be honest. Like, I don't necessarily see why Bayern wouldn't push for Kane and end up with Vlahovic, who, you know, is a good player, but nowhere near the same. And Bayern need a star. They need something because they're looking a little rank. So I think they will push to get it done. I still think you guys will get Hojlund. I don't know who PSG are going to get, but who really cares about them? But yeah, like if Man United were to get, you know, Kane and Hojlund, yeah, that would be like a superstar, you know, center forward and backup center forward situation. I don't think it's likely in this window, but like, yeah, it would be awesome. But over Levy's dead body, is he going to sell him to a Premier League club, period?
Yeah, I agree with you. I know he doesn't want to. And if he can get him to Bayern, he will 110% do it. And as Cal says here, I don't see him actively wanting to sell to Man United the way Terry thinks, not after the Berbatov stuff. Listen, I agree he won't want to. But if the Bayern Munich option becomes impossible because they sign Vlahovic, he's like, go back to what I said, and I'm very clear. The best of a bad situation. He won't be going, oh, amazing, he gets to go to Man United. But what I think, and again, sometimes you've got to think. I was watching The Sopranos earlier today, and there's an episode where some of the lower-ranking mobsters are like, they've got this big deal that they're doing the union stuff on, where it's worth like $250 million, where they're building all these new buildings along a water line in New Jersey. But because they're so used to stealing, some of the lower level mobsters are like stealing tiles that are delivered and fiber cable and whatever else. And Tony Soprano like grabs one of the capo and says, look, you're not thinking about the bigger picture. You could potentially lose us $250 million chasing 100,000. And that's and a lot of people in the world struggle to look bigger picture or 2 or 3 steps down the road. And that's what Daniel Levy's got to do if this Bayern Munich situation happens. He has to think about it from the perspective of, if we let him leave for free and he joins our 2 most bitter rivals for nothing, the fallout from that is far worse than him swallowing, the pride. But he might not. He might go no and then allow it to happen. But that would be a stupid. It's almost cutting off your nose to spite your face. He has to look bigger. Look at the bigger picture here as far as I am concerned. Someone here says, think it's actually good for us. We'll step up. We'll step it up now. I think
Kevin's talking about Hojlund.
Yeah, the Hojlund link. Yeah, listen, I agree completely. Harrison Lang here, though, thank you for that super chat, Kevin, says, Terry, according to Lee Gunner, in the know sources, he said nobody else was in for Hojlund. You've got to mud him again. Yeah, he kind of made out that Hojlund's got no technical ability. He's mad overrated. Nobody else even wants him. Well, again, that's debunked now. Having said that, what Lee will do, what Rashford's haters do. Whenever Rashford linked to PSG or Barcelona, they say it's just Rashford's agents making it up so that he looks better. It's remember, Lee Gunner's the same guy that said City didn't bid for Declan Rice. David Ornstein made it up.
And Enya Luka was spot
on. Enya Luka was right. Yeah, she was bang on.
I love that.
Bang on there. Quick thoughts. Obviously, you haven't spoken on the terrace for a while. Your thoughts on Onana becoming Man United's goalkeeper?
I mean, that's a big step up from David De Gea in terms of playing the ball from the back. You know, I think that was David De Gea's, like, the only thing that really crippled him was that, like, he just really, you could just see he was just rattled every time the ball came to him. He was just like, and he would incite that like level of anxiety amongst everybody like in front of him. So having somebody that's like probably one of the best in Europe playing the ball from the back is definitely going to take Man United to another level. So yeah, I think it's a good signing. A lot of teams, when they start their like rebuilds or whatever, a lot of them start from the back. It's so important to get new center backs in and a new goalkeeper in to play progressive football, I think. And so when you have dinosaurs at the back, you have to move them out. So yeah, I think it's a good signing. I know Arsenal were linked to him before we went to got Ramsdale, and a lot of Arsenal fans thought that he was that guy, and he's played, with Eric Ten Hag before. So it feels like a good fit, it really does. I'm looking forward to some, Fabian Barthez type scenarios with him, doing madness stuff and getting caught, but other than that, like, I think it's a good signing.
Yeah, I've spoken about it a lot. I agree. I think it's going to be brilliant for the way we play football. And I'm hoping, and I will talk about it soon on the show, but I'm hoping that he has an appearance against Arsenal on Saturday. Well, literally in about 24 hours time. He's with the squad now. So, yeah, I mean, he's literally like, sometimes I get so jealous of the jet set lifestyle. 2 days ago, he was in Milan, flies to Manchester, medical, everything else. Flies to New York, like in such, like, obviously it's easy, quick, private jets and everything else, but yeah, the lifestyle is amazing. Speaking of Arsenal, though, yourselves, actually, we'll come to Arsenal a little bit because I want to just talk to you about a quote that's come out from De Zerbi in relation to the Caicedo situation this evening. He has said that Moises Caicedo is a Brighton player, and Tony Bloom told me if the conditions don't change, so Chelsea don't meet that 100 million valuation, Moises Caicedo stays with us. For me, it would be great news. Interestingly, with that, you've got Ben Jacobs really pushing hard on this, that Caicedo is majorly disappointed, that he's still at Brighton. The so-called asking price of 100 million is branded as ridiculous by Caicedo's people. So this is turning into a really messy situation. And the media, there's two very different, often you get kind of, I was about to say like religion, but I don't want to offend anybody. The stories are all quite similar, even though but there's some small differences. In this Caciedo situation, the stories are very different. Does that make sense? How do you see this one panning out?
I thought it was weird that it wasn't wrapped up. There's all like, it not being wrapped up wasn't normal. I think a lot of Chelsea fans were, oh, it's fine. This is just how things go. No, like, it's taking way longer, and it's a one-horse race. That's what they keep telling us. It's a one-horse race. So, what's going on? And I think what it really just comes down to is because it is a one-horse race and Chelsea feel like they are the best placed and probably the only team that are seriously interested in him right now in this window, that they can wait it out and try to get a lower fee. Because if I'm Chelsea and it's just us and Arsenal offered 75 million in January, I don't want to pay anything really more than that. Why would I? So, but Brighton, they have something to work against, which is, Declan Rice to Arsenal. So they feel like it should be higher, and maybe they're negotiating for a bigger fee up front. But like, Tony Bloom makes, Sullivan look like a child when it comes to negotiating. This guy is like not a joke. They get big fees. They're very light because they're never under any sort of pressure to sell. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Ooh, did my internet go? Sorry.
No, that's me. It's me.
Oh, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think with Caicedo's people now starting to come out and talk, that, it's going to hopefully maybe push somebody to budge. But the problem is I've never seen Brighton budge before. I haven't seen them budge. So it might have to be Chelsea. They may have to pay more than what they originally wanted to. But if they end up having to pay almost 100 million for Moises Caicedo, they got done. Because in a one-horse race, for somebody that's played maybe one season in the league, I feel like that's a lot. But, you have to get the player in at this point, so yeah, it's a stalemate right now, I think.
It is. It's a strange situation because, as I say, most of the time the stories are fairly similar, especially from the press in the same country. So I know sometimes you'll get the Portuguese press and the English press will be way off, but generally in the same country, there is a a typical theme they're kind of sitting to. The fact that you got Jacobs and a lot of the kind of, I would say, pro Chelsea or pro Caicedo's transfer, sort of stating that industry insiders think 80 million is fair and it'll be more 80 million. The 100 million talk is nonsense. The player's unhappy. And then you get the more kind of pro Brighton side that are like, no, it's 100 million or he doesn't move. The player's happy. We're happy if he stays. So the narrative is very, very different. Indeed.
You know what Brighton do as well? Like, they're not the only club that does this, but they definitely do this. When their players are being looked at by big clubs and they start going into negotiations, they post them on social media all the time. You've seen Brighton post Moises Caicedo like 3 times now. And so they know what they're doing. They're very smart and you can't push them around. So this is going to be very interesting because Chelsea tend to be very aggressive when they're in transfer situations. They tend to just like roll over a smaller team, but like Brighton, they're no joke, so.
No, you're absolutely right.
That is not my saga.
I bet. We're having a few technical problems in terms of putting comments up. They're not loading through on StreamYard. I'm going to read some of these super chats out. One's from O'Malley, where he says, De Zerbi playing hardball with Caicedo for Colwill. That's also, but the Colwill situation is equally as
It's a factor.
strange.
It's a factor.
It's a factor, but it's a strange deal because, and the reason I say that the Colwill situation is strange is because everybody connected to Chelsea, whether it's Simon Phillips, whether it's Ben Jacobs, whether it's Nazir Kinsella, Matt Law, they've all pretty much said the same thing. Chelsea will not sell for love nor money. I even think Fabrizio may have said the same thing. There's no chance. However, the story won't die. And when the story, and when you speak to kind of pro-Liverpool, pro-Brighton journalists, there is they keep asking, they keep inquiring, they think there's an opportunity. There is a thread and a kind of narrative that the player isn't completely happy to stay at Chelsea. And I don't know which side is telling the truth. I feel like Levi Colwill will stay, but that's also a very strange, that they're so interconnected with one another. The narratives are really strange. And it's, again, the league starts in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. We kick it literally right now. In 3 weeks right now, the season kicks off. And just over 3 weeks, the Sunday game, Liverpool versus Chelsea, like some of these bigger deals have got to find a breakthrough in the next couple of weeks. They really do.
I think, like, I read something where Brighton, they want to take players on loan, but they don't want to develop other clubs' talent. Like that's, taking somebody on loan is not so that they can play at Brighton and then you can take them back. They will loan a player with the idea that they would have an opportunity to buy that player in the future. And I think that was something that they thought could happen because Tuchel didn't want Colwill. And so maybe when they made that deal initially, it was like, yeah, we'll loan him, but, we'll try to get him in the summer. And now things have really changed. And if you think you're going to have Colwill in your team going into a European season, and now you're looking across Europe for somebody that you can buy for a similar fee, you're pissed if you're Brighton. You are. And so I just don't think that, like, I just don't think Brighton are going to let this go easily. And with Colwill, when there's smoke, there's fire. Like, I think there is a little bit of something with maybe Colwill's not 100% sold on Chelsea. That doesn't mean that he'll leave Chelsea because, like he has to, if they want to keep him, they'll keep him. But it's very interesting. I feel like Brighton are definitely salty about not being able to get Colwill.
I agree. And the problem is when you loan players, as you say, or you don't own them outright, it does become a problem. And I think Brighton, I know that a lot of stick from people like Lee Gunner, but I do think Brighton are getting to that point now where like, okay, well, we need to start keeping hold of talent or buying higher quality and keeping it. And as much as it's hard because they've got to keep growing the income so they can pay the wages. There's no way they can stop a Caicedo, a McAllister from wanting to join bigger clubs right now. But they'll want to eventually. I know there's some people that think they should just go out and spend all their money. It's not even about the transfer fees. It's about the wages. And literally Man United's, City's, Arsenal's wage bill is more money than Brighton turnover in a season. So they can't spend what we spend on players because they would literally go bankrupt. It's the biggest fallacy in the world. But yeah, look, Nathaniel here says, I believe once Brighton get a replacement for Colwill, or Colwill signs a new deal, that's when things will move because we have chose his future. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Nathaniel. Like, I think it could definitely come down to that. Kelly Preston, one of our members here with the member super chat, says Caicedo is a Champions League level deal, not sorted with Chelsea. I wouldn't rule Arsenal out just yet. Possible shock deal after Arsenal sell some players. Are you hoping that happens with Caicedo, that Arsenal kind of come back in later on down the line? Do you see that being plausible, Jay?
I mean, without thinking about any of the circumstances around anything, like, of course, like, I would want Caicedo at Arsenal. Like, he's a quality player and he would make us better. But my feelings on bringing in a new midfielder was always contingent on whether or not Thomas Partey stayed. And it looks like now that he could potentially end up staying. So, as good as Caicedo is, having Thomas Partey and Rice in your team and Jorginho, like, we're set. So I'm kind of like, I've consigned to the idea that he'll probably be a Chelsea player and that's going to be it. If Arsenal were to come in for him, it'd be because Thomas Partey is going. So I'm not necessarily hanging around, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get you on that. I do. In terms of other links to Arsenal, though, of course, this Mohamed Kudus news is around, and Ben Jacobs on this deal has come out and said in the last few hours, it's one to watch. Keep an eye out for it. There's been other, the Mao and other outlets, Samuel McBell, have spoken about it's a player that you're now interested in, talking to his camp. Is this the right profile? Is this a deal that, if you could get an agreement for Kudus or Arsenal, would this almost, and you keep Partey, would this kind of complete your summer?
Yeah, for sure. We will have solved everything that I really wanted us to solve, like a new attacker coming in, versatile attacker, two midfielders, one being a 6, one being like more of an attacking type profile, and another defender, so from my perspective, not thinking about outgoings, that's as good of a summer as you could possibly, think of from an Arsenal perspective. Like, let's be real. There were summers where we only brought in Petr Cech. So, I am in dreamland with what we have now. But if you were to bring in Kudus, like, that would be great. He's a left-footed right winger, for Ajax, like, he plays there. So it kind of, if something were to happen to Saka, you'd have somebody there that could play that position that's really talented. But he could also play 8, so for people that are worried about, being too lightweight, when you go to Newcastle or Liverpool or something like that, you could drop him in the 8 position and you don't have that issue. So I think he would solve most issues. And I like that Arsenal are trying to create a relationship with Ajax, because Ajax players, I think, do well at Arsenal. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I would love to see him come in. I do think once we sell Balogun, that deal will get done. It feels like something that they probably spoke about Kudus when we were going after Timber. And so there's probably already feelers out there and stuff like that. And 35 million or something like that pounds for Kudus is perfect, because I said before, like, we were looking at Diaby, and I know he's gone to Aston Villa now, but I wasn't sold on him at all. I thought something was like just not connecting really, but Kudus feels like a better fit for Arsenal. So yeah, I'm into it.
I get that. John here, one of our members, says Vlahovic for Balogun plus cash and Kudus. What a window it would be. I mean, yeah, if you've got that number 9 striker, a kind of backup and a really talented another attacker in Kudus, the midfield with Partey staying, yeah, it would be almost perfect. You suddenly have that strength in depth with obviously with Urian Timber coming in as well, and it would be, as you say, from your point, as a rival looking, that what John said there would be fantastic. I don't personally see a number 9 coming in as well, personally, but you never know. But I think Kudus, I said it on the stream earlier on today, the kid's electric. He's electric.
On the number 9 thing, like, I know Arsenal fans are desperate to get it now, but I just don't think it's something that when you've already spent 100 million on Declan Rice, that you're going to go out there and spend that type of cash on a striker. And I think Arsenal probably already know the player that they want to go in for next summer. And it'll probably be the only player that we bring in. I think we're at the place now where we probably won't see 4 or 5 players come in, and it'll be one. And so I actually think it might be somebody like Osimhen, because we've been heavily linked with him in the past.
But that's the great thing. That's what Arsenal have set up. And we spoke before about when do you get behind your owners and leave the Cronkies alone? It's when, because again, if you build a brilliant squad that's of a good age, you don't need to ever really spend 300 million in a summer ever, a window ever again. Or the way you do it is like, right, okay, I'm talking a little pie in the sky here, but you spend 130 million next summer on Victor Osimhen, and maybe what you do is drop 40 million pound, 20 million each on two up and coming stars that you bring in, and it's like a star player and a couple of up. It's a little sprinkling all the time. That's what you do, and then. Yeah. It's what City have typically done, and it works brilliantly. You guys are setting yourselves up for that really well.
And that's kind of why I'm like, I get that people are like, you can't wait. You have to do everything now. Just go, just do it. But there are reasons why you'd wait to bring in a player at a certain time. And I think if you're going to get the perfect striker, I'd rather spend 130 million on Osimhen next summer than spend 60 million on Vlahovic and him not pan out to be there's a reason why Vlahovic is so far down everybody's list. He's not anybody's first choice. I think it's because he's probably not that guy. But Osimhen, if you had the money laying around, you'd probably go get him. So if he's still there at Napoli next season, I think that's somebody Arsenal will look at, and I'd be willing to wait for somebody that could change everything for the club versus just, somebody that we can get now just because, especially when we don't have a goal scoring problem, in my opinion.
Yeah. Listen, I think Martinelli and Saka are both going to score a lot more goals this year. I think if Jesus stays fit, he'll score he's never going to be prolific, like 30 plus goals, but he could hit 20, 25 in all comps. I think he was pretty much on track for that until he got injured. If Kudus comes in, there's more goals there. So, yeah, I think you guys have got goals in your team. Look, you scored enough goals last year to finish 5 points off the top. And it wasn't goals in the end that cost Arsenal. It was conceding too many. So with Rice coming in, Timber coming in, you kind of address those situations and that your young players are going to get even better. So someone here says Osimhen will never come to Arsenal.
Yes, he will.
Look, if you would have turned around and said that Arsenal were going to get Declan Rice next summer, this time last year, you'd have been laughed at. It's definitely plausible. Question, Terry, is the Glazers spending money a sign they are staying? No, it's not. It's not their money. It's the club's money. So it's kind of irrelevant. I keep hearing, they won't spend it if they're selling. Why? It's the club's money. It's not theirs. They don't invest a penny into the club. So it's almost a non-conversation as far as I'm sort of personally concerned. This one here says, that's the one I'm keeping my fingers crossed for to happen. If we sign Kudus, we are cooking this season, is what George says here. And Claire says, did you call Maguire a dinosaur? Probably at some point I might have done. I don't know. I've called him a lot of things. Some of them I probably regret. I was angry. Sometimes he deserved it. Omar, thank you very, very much for becoming an official member of the Football Terrace. That means a great deal to us. Thank you very, very much indeed. You excited about tomorrow night's game? Arsenal, Man United. It's never a friendly.
I'm never really that excited about these games because I always feel myself taking it way too serious, so even though it's a friendly, it's not going to feel like that. And so I'm going to want us to win so badly. So yeah, I am excited because I want to see what our team looks like against better competition. But at the same time, I'm just I hope we win because it'll still hurt even though it's preseason. But I am excited.
I remember playing City and I remember playing Liverpool in preseason. I don't know if I've ever played Arsenal. I can't remember ever playing you on preseason. We may have done. I haven't watched them all over the years, but yeah, I'm a little bit like that. I kind of wish this game was another couple down the line because our main first team haven't played a game yet, where yours have together. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but I want to win. I want to win the game. And look, I won't be ranting like it's a league match or a cup final.
Yes, you will.
If we don't win, no, I won't rant, maybe a little bit. But it's more a case of I want to. I'm excited. So I hope Onana gets some minutes. I want to see Mount in the team with kind of idea of who's going to play where. It's just a little bit of a shame we haven't got Hojlund and Amrabat in the team yet. But yeah, for me, it's a massive acid test. Playing one of the best teams currently in the world. Yeah, I'm excited about the game. To be fair with you, and it's on at a nice time as well, 10 p.m. It's not on at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
I know your team better keep it cute and not try to hurt any of our players playing dirty. That's what Ruben Loftus-Cheek put in the worst tackle I've ever seen in a preseason game on Thomas Partey a couple of years ago, trying to impress. And it was just like shocking. I was like, "Ooh, I don't ever really want to play." It wasn't the last season; it was the season before. And I was like, "Oh, I don't really like playing rivals during preseason." But hopefully, everybody just looks at each other and says, "But it's preseason," you know. So yeah.
No, I think there'll be a little bit of that, but at the same time, yeah, I think there'll be needle. I think when certain teams play each other, there's needle. When Man United played years ago now, probably about 8 years ago, we played Liverpool, and you could see and feel the needle on the day, and you would never maybe expect there to be that kind of needle because it didn't really matter. But yeah, there was some needle, there was some fighting, there was a lot going on. So I think there might be a little bit of that tomorrow. I swear it's 10 p.m. kickoff, like UK time.
It is.
Yeah, 10 p.m. kickoff UK time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on. But yeah, look, it should be a little bit of fun. As I say, good acid test. I'm really excited to see Onana. I also, there's some other little things that are not even about the result. I want to see like Manu play because he's a player that's going to be. Manu's one of our young midfield players from our academy. Very, very talented kid. Played a few games in the first team last year, but he looks very good. But you never know. And the problem is with so many times in preseason, you play against MLS teams, lower level teams, and some of your kids can look brilliant, but it's not a big enough acid test. But I think if you can play in a game like this and hold your own and do well, it gives me personally the confidence that
what kind of midfielder is he?
Well, at the moment, he kind of plays in more of a 6 role, but Man United very much see him as someone that can play the 8 as well. Very technically gifted, good physicality, good speed, good passer. He's got brilliant weight distribution, so his ability to sort of drop the shoulder and turn and pivot and pirouette is really, really good. He's very, very, very accomplished on the ball as well.
Odegaard, then maybe he's decent. But
yeah, true. Nawari is better. Listen, you can say he's better. I don't know enough about this kid. I don't watch Arsenal's academy.
He is. He is better because Nwari is considered the best in his age group, and I've never heard of a Mano. So
Manu.
To be fair, whatever, Manu. But to be fair, I didn't know much about Ethan Nwari until like a couple days ago. So
Well, listen, and Nwari, I've read some really good things about him, and he may end up being better. But this is the interesting thing: the amount of academy players who are. I remember when Chelsea broke through a guy called not Gal. What was his name? And Gal Kakuta. And there was this buzz in foot. This is the best young midfielder out of all the academies in England. And that kid did niche. So it's really intriguing. But I remember you guys a year ago talking about, was it Patino? And you lot were saying this kid is the best young midfielder in the country. Is he still at your club or has he left now?
No, he went on loan. But he wants to play first team. So yeah.
So I'm just saying, but this is the point. Like, if he was as good as everybody was hyping him to be, it's to be staying at Arsenal and playing. And that
already been in the first team. Remember, he was like the youngest player to play in the Premier League. Do you remember?
Yeah, I know. I remember seeing that. I remember that. Yeah. I remember seeing people get very, very angry about you guys doing that.
Which a young kid getting a debut.
Yeah, which I thought was so weird.
Arteta's doing it for his ego.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has started games for Alex is right. He has started games for Man United as well at 17. Like, he's a really good kid, and I'm excited to see him in the game to kind of get that idea of, you know what, there's a player in there, and playing Arsenal will definitely help Man United in the pursuit of that, I think. So yeah, exciting times ahead. This is true. Rice versus Mount. Friends.
You better bust him up. I don't want to see no friend stuff. He better bust him up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still glad you guys got him, to be fair. It's very, very annoying. Terry, trust me, Arsenal will win 4-0 tomorrow, is what Samuel said.
Don't set us up.
Damn, 4-0. 4-0. That's a madness. Look, it could happen. I mean, when you did it to Chelsea last year, you absolutely
You guys are
battered them.
nowhere near as bad as they were. They were atrocious.
No, I agree with that. Umar, sorry, says that you can't compare Osherman to Rice.
I mean, the thing about it though, you guys, is that like there's been links for Osimhen to Arsenal for a very long time. There was links when we were in the Europa League. So I think the idea that like if we're still in Champions League, we're looking really good, challenging for titles, we're in London. I don't know why people would think that Osimhen would not come to Arsenal. I think the idea that Arsenal are like some small club off the beaten path is like very overstated. If Arsenal are competitive, winning things, looking serious, players will come. And you've seen that already this window, and it won't stop, So I do think we could get him. I don't know why we wouldn't be able to. Like, but nobody's giving good reasons why. Like, they're just saying no, he would never go there, but they're not giving any reasons.
It's the thing with it is, like, I've heard it about Man United every summer since Fergie retired. No, Paul, you won't get anyone. And we nearly always pull out a signing that everybody says we can't get. I remember when I did the first few videos, people can go back and watch them, where you guys in February were linked to Declan Rice. And nearly every rival in the comments said there is no way it happens. He's now there. So, yeah, I just don't subscribe to it. Arsenal, now that they're back to this level, especially if they win something this year, of course they can sign him, because you actually think about it. Yeah, Barca could get him, there's no doubt.
Yep.
PSG, listen, PSG, no, not if bigger clubs are in for him. Real Madrid are going to be going for Mbappe. Barca could be a competition. Man United might already have a striker by then. Spurs ain't got the money for him. Chelsea could, depending on what Chelsea do this year. City have got Haaland. Liverpool have got Darwin and Gakpo. So you actually start breaking it down in terms of affordability, prestige of the league, and a club with an opening to bring him in. There's probably only 2 or 3 teams in Europe. And by the way, Bayern are going to buy a striker this summer, so they're not in for him next year. So from my point of view, Arsenal are definitely in that running, because it becomes about process of elimination. And let's just say we sign Hojlund and he's brilliant. We're not going to then go and do £150 million on another striker. So
I think
you won't get a situation where there's only 3 or 4 teams that can actually sign him next year.
I think people forget that Arsenal's issue with signing players before wasn't that people didn't want to come. It's that we weren't willing to spend the money. It was more that than anything. Like, so I think if they see that Arsenal are willing to spend the wages and are ready to really spend money, then we'll get players. Like, come on, but I get that it's like, no, we wouldn't. But if you can't think of a good reason, I don't know,
Well, but this is just it. Like, again, if you go up against Barcelona, I'd probably make Barcelona favorites, just as things stand right now. Yeah. If you went up against Liverpool, like if you went again, who else could conceivably afford him? Barcelona, the big teams in the Prem, PSG. I can't think of anybody. Again, Real Madrid, we know who they want. It's Mbappe. They're not signing both. Bayern Munich, are they going to spend £150 million on a striker? No. So you start breaking it down, and it's Premier League clubs and a couple of others that could even afford him. So, again, I always say this to people. It's about, and I know a few people in the comments are like, Terry, can't you say nothing negative about Arsenal? It's not about that. If I say that Arsenal...
you will. Trust.
No, I do. It's just that I can't sit here and lie. There is no logical reason why Arsenal can't get Victor Osimhen, especially if they keep progressing. They're Arsenal Football Club. Whether people like it or not, they're big. But equally, I do the same thing with Chelsea when people act like Chelsea are dead because they had one terrible year. Now, Chelsea are still, that's why Caicedo wants them. Chelsea are still, like, sometimes fans, they live in hopium land. I call it hopium land. They just live in this place where I'm just going to say things that I hope happen as opposed to what I really think will happen. And I think it's hope that Arsenal can't get Victor Osimhen. I think it's hope that Man United can't sign a Harry Kane. I think it's hope that Chelsea are finished forever. And the problem is when the people in hopium land, it's really hard to listen to them because everything they say is just negative, but none of it is like based with any fact or any opinion or any view as to why they think it. That just becomes very tiring. It's very, very difficult indeed. Super Chat here says, if Arsenal add Kudus, are they the title favorites? Would you say are the title favorites if you sign him, Jess?
No, the title favorites are, the holders. I think Man City, I think, will be most people's favorites, and they would still be mine. So no, but I think, you know, having the depth is going to be so important for Arsenal because that's really what killed us off at the end. So
Yeah.
it'll give us a better opportunity to really fight for the title from minute 1 to the final game. So it gets us closer, but let's be real, City are still favorites and should be. Like, they were amazing last season. They didn't have to even start off really well. What?
Some breaking news here.
Ooh.
Christopher Vavale, who is kind of like a sporting director at Chelsea, has left the club. He's only been there less than a year. So he came in and was very highly tipped to be involved in these transfers. He has now just left Chelsea.
Hmm.
Very intriguing. Maybe he's. Do you know what? Listen, we'll find out why. This guy was like highly regarded. You know what's really funny about it? Like, he was highly regarded, and there's some players like who no one like these players, some people in those roles that nobody's heard of, and everybody wants them and doesn't want these guys. And he's gone nuts. And I'm literally guessing here. My view is he ain't delivering on these transfers coming in, and Todd Bowley's gonna see you later. We're getting someone else.
Bowley back in charge.
Well, I don't think we'll do that. But this is the thing. This is where owners need to be involved. It's like, okay, if I bought a restaurant tomorrow, I wouldn't know how to run it because I'm not a chef. I haven't trained in catering. I wouldn't know how to do it. However, I'm smart enough to understand what a well-run restaurant should feel like in terms of we should be full, we should be making certain amounts of money, we should be filling up the seats or the covers as they call them. If you hire a manager and a chef and they're doing a bad job and no one's turning up, or they're not, the food's bad and people are complaining, you don't need to be a specialist to go, right, I've got to sack you and bring somebody better in and raise the standards. And listen, we don't know. It could be for a number of reasons, but
Tony Bloom was getting the best of him.
Well, but this is it. You know what I said earlier? Like, I feel like this Chelsea situation with Colwill and Caicedo is weird. There's something about it strange. And maybe we're just seeing now, maybe Todd Bowley and the crew are like, listen, and Win Stanley are like, yo, bruv, you ain't that guy. You ain't got that authority. See you later. But do you know what's good if it's the truth? If he hasn't got the ability to get these deals done, how amazing is it as Chelsea for Chelsea that their owners go, boom, get rid of him? My club kept an incompetent guy in that position for 8 fucking years. 8 years of incompetence. And that ruthlessness set standards. So we'll wait and see what the story is, but that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
In the middle of your transfer window, that's wild. But, like you said, they're willing to move quickly and they got to get some incomings because the season starts. And despite them kind of starting over and Pochettino, kind of starting from the beginning, there's always huge pressure on Chelsea to do the business, so they're not going to get can finish 8th season. They're not going to get that. People are going to expect them to push for
TBG here. Yeah, TBG says apparently he left himself. Yeah, but that's
let you leave gracefully. Say terms.
Yeah, of course, and that's sort of like you always get this leave mutual consent. Generally, when people break up in relationships, you always get, oh no, we spoke about it and we like, especially when men say, oh yeah, like she sat me down and we spoke and we both decided it wasn't right for us. Nah, bruv, she went off you. She just made you think it was your decision. Like, end of the day, he's been sacked because why else would you leave? It don't make any sense. You're one of the biggest clubs in the world, biggest league. Yeah, pushed. But go now. A little bit of severance pay. Leave with your dignity intact. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I just saw
that Mbappe was left out of their preseason. PSG's preseason, they didn't go with him. So there could be something.
He's gonna. Yeah, look. Listen. I think that's gonna be a late in the transfer window. I see him moving on.
A bang, really just like that. Because I even think that contract that they offered him, that big contract, I think that was all like for show. We've offered him the biggest and best things here, but he wanted to go. So, that kind of thing. But I'm kind of ready for this to happen, for Mbappe to go to Real Madrid. Like, I'm kind of ready for it to happen. Like, I want to see it. Like, I don't have any, he's not Arsenal player. Like, there's no connection or anything like that. But you want to see the best players in the best environments and really competitive. And I would just love to see him at Real Madrid. Like, you think about how poor they were against Man City. you bring Mbappe in that team, and then all of a sudden you start looking a lot
Changes.
better, you know?
You throw him in, and I know they're linked to like Alphonso Davies. You throw that quality on the ball and that speed in on that left hand side, changes. And
Everything.
the right, so you have it on left and the right. It changes everything. You know, that extra bit of quality in there. I mean, I tweeted earlier on today when I quote tweeted the news of the 10-year contract, and I basically quote tweeted it and said, if Mbappe does this, he'll damage his legacy forever. And then people ask me why or how, and I'm sitting there thinking, and that sounds so horrible. It's like, brother, you brain dead. You can't, if you want to be regarded as one of the greatest ever, and Mbappe's got the ability to go into that category of one of the greatest ever. He's got the ability, he's got the fame, he's already got the young achievements, World Cups, everything else. But he needs to go, and what he doesn't have, in my opinion, is any domestic credibility yet, because all the others have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk the modern day era. All the others have done it in leagues that some of the leagues they did it in are no longer strong, but they used to be when they did it. But he's got to do it in a league that's recognized, that people respect. Scoring, look at like Balogun, right? Balogun's really good, but no one really cares about the league goals he scored last year, because in our heart of hearts, we're like, France. No one takes it too seriously. You move to Germany, more credibility. Italy, more credibility. Spain and England, you're doing it there, you're looked at as one of the best. And we know Mbappe's the best, and I know he's going to deliver. But he has to do it.
Young anymore
No, he's not. He's like mid-20s. He's got to go and start winning the La Ligas or Prems. He's got to start, picking up those awards. He's never, also, in my personal opinion, no matter what he does at PSG, I don't think he's ever going to win a Ballon d'Or there. Even though it's a French award, you're just not going to get it. There isn't something about, you've got to get out. And Real Madrid is going to be the club. He needs to go for legacy. He's already got an amazing legacy, but he needs it. He needs to be seen in that white Real Madrid kit, the Barca kit, Man United. He needs to be in a kit of a great club and winning the major trophies. He just needs to be.
Did you say Man United kit?
Is that what you say? I did. Yeah, I'd love him at my club. Ain't gonna happen.
Said that if he ever came to the Premier League, he would come to Arsenal.
See, look, people say like Pele won in Brazil. Yes, but the Brazilian leagues in Pele's era were amazing because most of the Brazilian players stayed there. The South American leagues in that era were amazing. So, like I said, now it's different in the modern day era. Like the only real strong leagues in the world are in Europe, and there's 3 or 4 of them, and all the best players are in those leagues. 50, 60, 70 years ago, all those brilliant players were spread across the world. So it was a very different scenario. Right. Very, very different scenario to what it is. But the point I'm making, if we just said the modern day era, is whether you're talking Zidane, Ronaldinho, Messi, Ronaldo, Paul Scholes, whoever you're looking at, the greatest, they all did it in the best leagues. And you have to have that domestic base and that foundation, in my opinion. You really, really do have to have that, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
I just want to see him play.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting. Bowley, like, why do you not spend 600 million again?
Spend the money. Stop being cheap. Just spend. What are you doing?
Fuad here says, Terry, do you think Barella and Gvardiol will be City players on the 1st of September? Yeah. If they sell Bernardo Silva, which is what the story from Santi is, yes, you'll get the job done. No doubt in my mind. I bet Mount and Havertz will score. We'll let Chelsea fleece. Let Chelsea fleece us. I respect United, but won't be vexed if we lose or gassed if we win. Big up, Jess. Yeah, look, do you know what's funny? Like, again, this is why I'm also looking forward to it, because there's going to be Man United fans and Arsenal fans tuning in, but even more Chelsea fans are going to be watching this. Like, they really are going to be watching it.
They're getting their fail comps ready. They can't wait. Like,
imagine, I mean, this ain't too late, but imagine getting up at like the other day at 3 a.m. in the morning to edit a foul compilation, and then just for him to score quite late on, and you can't release it.
I mean, it's just like, I just can imagine punching the air, like some of these carefree guys punching the air, looking like, no fail comp this time. It's interesting, but. Yeah, Mount's a good player. Like, I stand by that. I'm going to say it a million times, because when he bangs and he's good at Man United, I want everybody to come back and say Jessica was right about that. Because I think, like, if you had to do a percentage split of is Mount a bad player or was Chelsea a bad place, I would say Mount is probably 70% Chelsea's a bad place. Like, like
Yeah.
he's quality player. Like it's easy to see. Like I don't know why people are pretending like Mount's trash. It's weird to me.
You know me, I'm not. Well, you did catch me the other day. It was like I got caught watching porn. I was sitting in my room.
The way I ran into the room, I was like, is he watching a comp?
I was watching a Mason Mount comp.
Getting excited about it. I was like, oh, he's in it. That's
I was
funny.
watching it. I just went. It came up on my TL, and I was just like, I'm gonna watch it. And I was
That's
sitting
how
there.
you know you're in it with a signing, because like you start watching the comps and all the things you used to think, they start just becoming a figment of the past.
I like to do my research, and the comps aren't the best thing to watch. Y Scout's the one, but yeah, I'm just trying to make myself happier.
The amount of times I watched Kai Havertz at Leverkusen comps to get myself ready, I'm like, it's there. I can see it. Vision.
Yeah. Someone here, why did I say Scholes? I also should have added Ryan Giggs to that list as well, because we are now allowed to praise Ryan Giggs' football ability again, now that he is his court cases up. But yeah, Giggs and Scholes are on that list as great, some of the greatest ever as well. Absolutely, well done there. Terry, you just said that Mbappe, to be great, needs to go to another league. Justified your logic on the Poch Arteta talk the other day. It doesn't, Stu. It doesn't do that at all. The conversation of I told you all that I would pick if I had to choose now. Man United, Ten Hag's gone, and there's only two managers in the world available, Poch or Arteta. I would pick Arteta. That would be my personal preference. However, what I was arguing with Igao is that his logic that you can't use somebody's CV to assess who the better manager is wrong as a blanket statement. I get it. You can't, if you look at, for me, Jose Mourinho is past his best now. So in a conversation about who is the best right now, Jose's CV becomes slightly more obsolete because we know he isn't that guy anymore. But the CV of a Pep, the CV of a Poch is relevant now because I still think they're at their best or maybe could even get better. So you can't just ignore their CV in those conversations. That was the point I was making. Equally, I think that winning an FA Cup in England for Arteta is a really big achievement. Poch has never won a trophy here. He's never won a trophy in a major league. But he's also been around longer, and what he did with Spurs and Southampton holds a lot of credit. And I don't think he's lost that ability as a manager to do that. I still have question marks over whether he can win the major trophy. So for me, I think the logic stacks up completely. But they were very different conversations to what we're having right now. And I was just trying to understand Gal's logic, but I don't think you can remove the CV.
No,
he tried to do it with Casemiro as well. He tried to say, yes, Casemiro's won 5 champs. La Ligas and everything else, but Declan Rice is better than him now. And my view, Casemiro hasn't regressed at all. He's still that same player. So his CV and what he's achieved. At all? I think Casemiro is as good as he's ever been. I think he is as good as he has ever been. The difference is last season he wasn't playing in a team that was as good. But he's every bit as good as he's always been. There wasn't a sign last year that he'd lost anything. He probably had to be better individually for Man United than he does for Real Madrid because he's in a worse team. So yeah, for me, he hasn't regressed at all as far as I'm concerned. He will over the next 2 or 3 years.
My favorite part of last summer was when I was out there saying that Casemiro hadn't won anything for United, so it doesn't matter. That was my favorite. I love that. I love that part of the transfer window, trying to make up reasons why Casemiro is not good. Talking about his age. Talking about he needed Modric and Cruz. Oh, those are great times.
they were good times. My favorite one was when we were linked to Frankie de Jong. All I got from Gooners, Curran was the worst at this. It was like, but it's pointless. You need a DM. If you don't sign a DM, it's pointless buying a de Jong. We ended up getting a DM and not de Jong. And then it was, but you don't have this, you don't have that. And it's like, oh, what is it then?
It wasn't Ten Hag's first choice, so it's not going to work in the system.
The tune got changed. Remember, it got so bad. There was 2 signings last year Man United made, Cass and Lissandro.
Little Lissandro.
Both of those deals got so much abuse and stick and criticism, and they were 2 of the best signings of the summer, without a shadow of a doubt. People have even forgot how much they both cost. That's how you know. Like banter aside, they both had they both had moments in the season with red cards and the Liverpool
being
games.
short and
There were some individual moments where you're like, it's not good, right? But as a general rule, when you're signing, this is for everybody. When you're signing is banged when nobody brings up their wages or their cost anymore. That's when even for rivals, when in your heart of heart, even when there's comps out there, and you were the worst with the standard. Every time we can see the goal early in the season, Jess is pausing the screen, rewinding it, sitting up close, trying to work out if she could find a way to blame Martinez. 110%.
Every one of those goals were his fault because he was little. Okay.
Someone here says Mbappe is up for sale. I mean, but PSG have said this. I don't think it's news. PSG have said all along they won't let him leave for free. They're going to sell him. They've said it the whole time. Like, I actually don't understand. How, like, I don't mean really to you, Ali. This is not news. This has been the same story since he said he wouldn't sign that new deal. You bums need to respect Casemiro. That man has 5 Champions Leagues. He does, like 5 Champions Leagues as a DM, and he's still at that level. Now he might get 6 now. Might get 6. Imagine he wins one more.
Physical cliff this season. That's my prediction.
Can you imagine?
Look at him and you're going to say, Fabinho? Is that you?
Can you imagine not winning number 6 and Man United's 4th Champions League this season?
No, I can't. You might want to wake up from that dream, buddy.
It would be a thing of beauty. I'd love it. Breaking news: Mbappe for sale. In breaking news, Mbappe transfer listed. Yeah, we knew. And listen, the fact he hasn't gone on preseason,
it's happening.
Listen, you got to give PSG some credit. They are not messing around. This is the difference as well, right? When you deal with owners from the backgrounds and the wealth that these guys have, as powerful as Mbappe is and Ronaldo is and Messi are, compared to these men. Like, these men are the most powerful people on earth because they have all the money, and like they this is how rich they are. They actually make all these footballers look poor. They're like, comparatively, and they're just like, no, we ain't being dictated to by you. Edu, one more favor, bring TT Junior to the carpet. Can you listen? I guarantee you.
And get your wallet.
Listen, this is the thing, right? I would participate for Man United if the Glazers weren't here. Arsenal probably have 30, 40, 50. How many millions of fans do you have worldwide? Has a stat ever come out?
No, I don't know, but I mean, it's massive. Like, Arsenal's global reach is insane.
Let's say you've got 300 million fans. Like, you only need like 20p, 30p, 40p of every fan. You can buy Mbappe. Just do a crowd fund, raise the money. But I don't understand why more fan bases don't do that. Legitimately, all stick a pound in and done. do you know what I mean?
People will be buying that ugly kit then. They'll be buying the hell out of it then. Gotta get Mbappe here.
It does go to show, though, that majority of football fans don't put any money into their clubs. Because even shirt sales, I think it's like Barcelona sell the most amount of shirts in the world. They said about 2 million. But they have like 400 million fans. So it does go to show most fans don't give any money to their football clubs, It's crazy. Most don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a shame. We already spent so much money. I think we'll just be about priced out. But I'm pretty sure if we hadn't spent a dime yet, he'd be on his way to London.
Listen, do you know what? It's probably not going to happen. But if them damn Qataris buy Man United,
you guys have been waiting for so long.
I've switched off now. I've switched off.
What happened to the announcement that Rio was supposed to have the other day? I remember seeing it. It was like, we have some really important information. Did the information ever come through?
No, it's still there. It's done. No, nothing. Yeah, it's done. Nothing's happened at all. Nothing has happened at all in the last few days. I remember speaking to a journalist and he was saying, he was telling me we think it's really close to a conclusion. That was about a month ago now. I suppose in the grand scheme of it taking 9 months, 1 month isn't so long. But what is interesting is the share price is now, like, it had that really big raise and it maintained. And then in the last, it's starting to drop again. So it's not as low as it has been, but it's just slowly starting to come down. And it's coming down because there's, and this is what I said to people, the idea that the Glazers might stay is making the share price drop. That's why I keep saying to people, fans, you pull your money, you'll crash the share price, you'll make them sell. But Man United fans are too weak to do anything. Oh, but I'll give up my ticket and I'll never get it back.
It probably was close, and then they decided to try to squeeze a little more money out.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. You're probably right. It's almost, and that's when you read what both the potential buyers are saying. It's like we feel like we're nearly there, and then you pull the rug from under our feet. But the thing is they're probably not. They're probably not wrong. You're probably just going to keep getting both parties adding 50, 100, 200 million like this, and the Glazers are probably thinking if we can keep squeezing them and squeezing them and squeezing them, but that's why the fans have got to do something and say, "Yo, we're boycotting unless you make it like you get it done now. Pull that money." Crash the price, because if we crash the price, we crash the valuation, they'll never get as much money. This is what I mean. They're only motivated by, again, people that are motivated solely by money are the easiest people in the world to control. You take the money away from them.
Yeah.
It literally is the easiest thing in the world to, we'll take your money if you don't do this. People go, okay, great.
Yeah.
You know, it's the way it is. Mbappe Salah swap incoming. Do you know what? Mbappe is probably the only player in the world that everybody would do a swap for, because I'd swap Rashford for him. You'd definitely swap. You would give away either Martinelli or Saka for Mbappe, right?
I'm sorry, you muted? I can't hear you.
Answer the question. If right now Mbappe wants to come to Arsenal, but you have to swap him for Saka, would you do it?
Okay, I'll start learning French, buddy.
You would listen. Saka and Rashford are both brilliant. But I'd still, Mbappe is just another level. He's just another level.
Yeah.
He's just another level.
Yeah, that is, I mean, it's true.
People saying no, I need to understand why you would keep,
I
listen.
feel like, yeah, I mean, there's like one or two players in the world that you'd swap, you know, your favorite players at your club for. So we're not talking about swapping Saka for some rando. We're talking about Mbappe. Like, this is a player that can single-handedly like change the trajectory of your club, makes you like commercially everything on the pitch, off the pitch, makes you a completely different thing. Like, it just does. And so, yeah, like I would hate to see Saka go, but I'll pack your bags for you, man. Like Mbappe. Like make Arsenal French again.
Yeah, like I would, yeah, of course I'd do it. Swap with Martial, Rashford at 9, and Mbappe on the wing.
No, you have to swap with somebody that you would like. You have to swap.
You don't want
Rashford.
Listen, I would swap him. There pretty much isn't. There's barely. There's not a player in the squad really. No, there's a few. Like I wouldn't. No, I would. Probably barring Onana, there's nobody I wouldn't swap him for, only because we need that goalkeeper so desperately. But yeah, listen, I'll definitely swap him for Martial. I would definitely do that. Chelsea fired their sporting director after 6 months. Yeah, we saw that. That's crazy. Absolute crazy times.
Yeah.
Jess cook Terry till he becomes party rice.
No, I'm not going to cook Terry. I do that on a normal basis. It's boring now, so we'll let it
why don't you practice what you preach, Terry? Stop covering Man United and giving them publicity. Too weak to do that. It's a very good challenge.
Lana Rose.
Very good challenge. Now, for me, I don't really give them any publicity. Me talking about their football matches, I don't believe publicizes them. But I think I have to talk about them. I have to keep people honest. I have to push out the right message as an example about what I feel about the club. I'm very disappointed by the terrible representation Man United get when it comes to Glazer conversations online. It always comes back down to money spent as opposed to the real true problems at the football club. So I think we have to be public and we have to be talking about this. We have to keep things alive. If everybody that's against the Glazers stops talking about them, all you'll be left with is the people that don't mind supporting them financially and nothing will change. However, I do think there's something in that. And I have reached out to the other Man United fan channels before and said about doing something where we do a complete blanket boycott, and they all said no. So from my point of view, I'll be very, very honest with you. Me doing it by myself is going to be absolutely pointless. I've reached out to all the major Man United contributors and asked if they wanted to get involved in making content. And part of that would have been a complete blackout. And they all said no. So I have tried to do that in the past. Their reasoning was very much, we don't want to do that. I said, fine. But from my point of view now, I need to keep speaking about the problems at Man United. Now, some days I'm going to praise Man United because we do good things as well. But I have tried to do that in the past and they all said
if you're honest, it's not a problem. It's when you only speak from a certain standpoint, I think it becomes a problem. Because basically what people are saying is like, you're almost like PR, but I'm sure they'd like you to shut your mouth when you're saying that they're not doing the right things, right? So,
well, I got reached out to once by a marketing company that were like, "Oh, we're doing something with Man United. We know you're a Man United fan. It would have meant I got to play on the pitch and do everything." And they said, "Can you send us your social media stuff?" Or I sent it through, and they never come back to me. So I chased them. So what's going on? You know what? I was like, I wanted to know what was going on. I wasn't personally going to go. I never even told him this. I was going to send KJ, and then they said, "No, we've seen some of your stuff on the Glazers, and we can't have you there." And that for me was a case of I'm harsh on them, so that stopped me from getting work, and I was quite proud of that. I was proud of the fact, like I see certain fans of, I'm not going to name the clubs because it'll be obvious I'm talking about, but I see fans of certain clubs who hate their owners. But then when their club says, "Oh, we're launching a new kit, can you come and do a photo shoot with it?" They're in the kit doing the photo shoot, and I'll look at me. I'm like, but you moan about your owners, but you're now in a shirt selling their shirts for them. I would never do it. If no amount of money offered to me, that's actually a lie. If it was millions of pounds and I could retire so I wouldn't get any heat, I'd do it. But generally, like if someone said, "Look, there's 10 grand, we want you to wear a Man United shirt and advertise it for us on the streams," I'd never do it. I would not do it. I would say no. I don't believe most Man United content creators would say no to that because I don't think they really care about the Glazers. They only really attack the Glazers when it's fashionable, trending in the right time. But listen, that's their lives, and more power to them. Do their thing. But yeah, by the way, Alice Talks Football was up for getting involved in that. She was the only one who was up for it. So I will big her up and say that she 110% wanted to do it. Terry, I love Mbappe, but not for Saka. Martinelli. Wow, that's love. Saka is near Mbappe levels. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? Mbappe levels, Saka.
I think you're muted again. Can't hear you. Come on, you guys. Let's be serious for like 5 seconds. If Saka was on Mbappe's level for one day, that would be great. Like, because he'd play the greatest game of his life. No, he's not on Mbappe's level. Nobody is. Not even Haaland. Yeah, I said it.
The great thing about Haaland, Haaland and Mbappe, they're both, again, they're both individually very different from Messi and Ronaldo. Because I think Messi and Ronaldo were both technically better football players. Like people forget young Ronaldo on the wings was amazing. But the differences between Haaland and Mbappe, I think, are as vast as Messi and Ronaldo. But that's what I like about it, because if they were exactly the same profile of player, it becomes a really hard debate. But because they're both good at different things, but their kind of outputs are both relatively similar, it's amazing to watch. But that's also the big acid test. When Mbappe goes to a hard league, does he still score at the same rate? He might do, and I think he will.
He'll walk it. I think.
I agree with you, but again, we don't know until we know. So if even with Haaland, there was people that didn't think he'd keep scoring the Bundesliga level of goals in the Prem, and he's gone to another level. But if Mbappe does go to Real Madrid and he's only picking up 20 goals a season in all comps, and Haaland keeps scoring like he is, there's no conversation. Because this is the thing, when people say stats don't matter, they do to a degree. Ability is one thing, but if one guy is getting 55 goals a season, the other guy is getting 20, the guy who's getting 50 goals a season is getting rated as better. It's simple as that. It's going to happen.
I just looked at the chat and people are just going back and forth saying 8-2, 7-0, 8-2, 7-0.
I know. The only embarrassing bit about that is it's Arsenal fans saying 7-0. You didn't beat us 7-0 though. you can't flex it. It weren't your result, bro.
We were playing that game with Liverpool. I'm telling you right now. I was sitting on my couch and I was kicking that ball.
Wow. Here, this says Salah over the last 5 years on Mbappe's level.
Salah is like definitely a world-class player and has been world-class consistent for so long. But, okay, Mbappe is the type of player that can carry it. Like he can just he could just change everything just by just doing him. And I think Salah, like he's probably just like that level, just right below Mbappe. But the thing about Mbappe is like the skill is there. He has great technical ability. I think people undermine it and say that he's just a speed merchant. He's not. He's incredibly quick. He has the mentality. He's arrogant. He's confident. And like when he turns it on, he can literally win a game on his own. You've never seen Salah. I mean, no offense, because he's obviously like the nation is different. But I just don't think you'd ever see Salah do what Mbappe did in that World Cup final. That's just, like.
Yeah, look. I do think Mbappe is a slight level above him. I agree. Lana's back again and says, so your logic is because other creators won't do it, you won't do the same. Same logic can be applied to fans. It's impossible to get everyone to stop spending money. So again, Lana, maybe you didn't listen to what I said, so I'll simplify it for you. I inquired about doing it a while back, and they said no. Since then, I have thought about it, and I do believe that continuing to speak about the football club and push the message out is important. Otherwise, if everybody that's anti-Glazers stops talking and all you get is the voices of people that are more neutral to it or pro-Glazer, then there won't be a movement. So you have to keep talking about the football club. So maybe I've got to reiterate it. Something I tried to do. I've now gone back, and I don't think a complete blanket blackout and not mentioning the club would work unless everybody does it. But you're right, not everybody is going to do it. But on the spending situation, again, I don't expect every fan to stop spending. I just don't expect you to give money to the Glazers and then moan about them because you're feeding them. There's a hypocrisy in there. I do agree with you, though. You're never going to get all the fans to stop spending, but I think you can make a significant dent that would damage the club financially and the stock value, which would crash the valuation of the football club, which would make it easier for other people to buy. Because the ultimate goal of the Glazers isn't the money they take out in dividends. It's what they will eventually sell the club for. So the lower we can make that, the better. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question a little bit better. I think we have to keep talking about the football club. That's something I've changed my mind on. And half the reason why I wanted to meet with a lot of these other content creators and people and talk is that I don't think I have all the answers because I'm not that arrogant. I've got an idea. And when I talk about pulling money away from the club, when you actually listen to my shows and in the in-depth shows I've done, I don't just think day one, everyone just stops spending. I think what you first do is threaten. And then you slowly start pulling away from the football club. I don't think you do it all in one big fell swoop. I think you have to do it in kind of baby steps, as it were. But you kind of set out a manifesto and you say, this is what we're going to do. And you slowly start to do it and you see what it looks like. And maybe what you start off by doing is by the season ticket holders don't give up their season tickets, but maybe they just stop going to games and they stop spending money and they don't let anyone go into the shops, the mega stores. No one spends any money when they're in the ground. That would damage them by millions of pounds a year. So you get my point. Like, all I've ever wanted to do is talk to people about the situations at the club, to work ideas, what would work, what wouldn't, go through the pitfalls, because I'm not a genius. I don't believe I have all the answers. But what I truly, truly believe, the only guaranteed way to get the Glazers only motivation is selling the club for billions of pounds. So even if they sell, it sickens me they could get 6 billion. I think if fans would have worked together sooner, pulled more money, boycotted sponsors, crashed the valuation of the club, would have got them out sooner, and they would have made far less money out of us. That's just my personal belief. And if they keep the club, go back to what I said the other day, Lana, if they keep the club and don't sell it, what are we going to do? Moan about it and keep giving them our money and they just stay for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years? They ruin another rebuild? We've got to do something. And if they stay this time, everything else has been done. Protests and hashtags and getting games called off. The only thing we haven't tried yet is pulling money. And I think a conversation about that needs to happen. However, to get that movement going, you can't do a blackout at the football club. That was something I got told by another person. And I was like, you're right. Because if you're not talking about it, you can't keep spreading the message. But thank you for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it a lot. It means a great deal to us on the terrace. Thank you. Lana. Thank you. Any football fan that doesn't think Mbappe would improve their team is just delusional. Yeah, he gets into pretty much every team there is out there. Let's have a little look here.
Every single team that's out there, including City.
But this is what's interesting.
He's around.
Yeah, of course. Mbappe to Real Madrid, Tchouaméni or Valverde to Liverpool, domino. Watch out for the Tchouaméni situation and or Valverde, because I think they may have to sell someone. Is it me or are the Glazers just copying FSG? No, I think it's FSG didn't get the interest. Like the people want to buy the club. They just want 6 billion. And so far been offered about 5.5 and they're holding out for the money. So yeah, slight differences. Jess, are you going to troll Terry if we win the friendly? PS, that new kit looks like a high-vis jacket with a Scalextrics track on it.
Yes, I will. No, not that badly, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fun. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, I want to say a big thank you to each and every single one of you. Please hit the like button before you leave and make sure you're subscribing to the terrace as well. It's very important to us that you do that. Back tomorrow with some more content for you in the morning. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll